What has produced all this bad feeling on the once so chummy Costa del Sol? From the Spanish point of view, it's a matter of national pride. The British answer is that Gibraltar became British by conquest in 1704.
It is a question of wishing to preserve the freedoms which we have been born.
What's your objection to being part of Spain?
Objection? Because I'm a free man. We want to be free.
I prefer to go to the Congo rather than become a Spaniard.
They enjoy the British way of living, the democratic way of living. They wouldn't like to go with Spain, where it's a dictatorship and where they wouldn't have the right of vote or human rights.
We speak Spanish at our homes, but our feelings are British.
It's one of the grandest symbols in the world, but of what? An imperial past that's dead and gone? Is the Rock of Gibraltar any use to Britain today? Does anybody here feel that he would like to belong to Spain?
No! Never. Kill him!
Is there not one single person who would rather be ruled by Madrid than by Britain?
No! There's no people here.
Are the Gibraltarians being naive and over-optimistic when they believe that Britain will not let them down in the face of the latest Spanish claims? Do they have a misplaced trust in Britain, or will we really stand by them? For General Franco, who would dearly love to bring Gibraltar back into the Spanish fold before he dies, really seems set to carry out a blockade on the border. This is the border between Gibraltar and Spain. Over there is Spain. Next Tuesday, the Spanish government has announced that it's going to close the border to all traffic from La Linea going to Gib. This will mean a very serious blow to the Gibraltar tourist industry, but worse may follow, because the story in Gibraltar is that the permits of the 5,000 Spanish workmen who every day come from La Linea to Gib to work in the docks and in the offices and the hotels may be withdrawn. And if they are withdrawn, the border may then be closed completely. If this is true, it will be, in fact, the biggest step taken so far by the Franco government in its current blockade of Gibraltar. Gibraltar would then be cut off completely from the mainland, and the fortress Rock would become an island. The trouble began 2 years ago when the Spanish authorities dropped their usual easygoing manners and introduced a series of pinprick measures aimed at making crossing the border more difficult. Customs formalities were tightened up to the point where motorists had to wait as long as 10 hours to cross the border. 300 Gibraltarians, including politicians and journalists, were put on the Spanish blacklist and are not allowed into Spain. But Spaniards were affected too, and 2,000 Spanish women who used to make the trip daily with their menfolk were suddenly told by the police to stay at home. On the British side, armoured cars began to patrol the border. So far, there have been no incidents, and British soldiers say they seldom see anyone patrolling the Spanish side of the wire. But the restrictions make life less attractive to British servicemen in Gibraltar. Just after the start of the border trouble, a serviceman took his family to Spain for a picnic. He not only had to pay duty on the picnic going over, but on his way back had to pay again on some uneaten sandwiches. Spanish customs began closing down an hour and a half early and even charged duty on altar wine and Christmas trees. This car hire firm, which supplied cars to British tourists, taking the road to Spain, renamed Winston Churchill Avenue, has had to close down. Many Britons who worked in Gibraltar but lived in Spain had to quit their homes at short notice and move to Gibraltar, which is badly overcrowded despite a flat-building program. What has produced all this bad feeling on the once so chummy Costa del Sol? From the Spanish point of view, it's a matter of national pride. After all, Gibraltar is geographically part of Spain. It sticks out into the sea from the southern coast of Spain like an accusing index finger. After all, Spaniards say, how would England like it if Portland Bill belonged to the Russians, or the Isle of Wight to the French? The answer, they say, is that we wouldn't, and neither do they. The British answer is that Gibraltar became British by conquest in 1704. 9 years later, in the Treaty of Utrecht, the King of Spain signed away the rock, town and port of Gibraltar to England forever. But not the hinterland, the campo as the Spaniards call it, which extends from the castle walls to the Spanish town of La Línea, which you can see in the distance. This is the area in dispute, and it includes the airport, which serves as RAF base and civil terminal. Britain claims it is hers as far as the border fence, only 200 yards from the actual runway. Beyond are the Spanish fortifications and La Línea. The Rock of Gibraltar, rising starkly out of the blue Mediterranean, is one of the most impressive sights in the world. Dripping with history, the very concept of supremacy at sea. Nelson must have seen it like this often as he ploughed his way through the Mediterranean, and Trafalgar is only just round the corner, less than 40 miles away. It's one of the grandest symbols in the world, but of what? An imperial past that's dead and gone? Is the Rock of Gibraltar any use to Britain today? Or is it just an overpriced piece of real estate? In the pre-nuclear age, Gibraltar was the key to the Mediterranean. Whoever held the Straits of Gibraltar controlled the entrance to the Mediterranean and the route to Suez and the Far East. But in the nuclear age, when the one hydrogen bomb could shatter the rock into 1 million pieces, Gibraltar is expendable. It's still useful in a conventional role, but anything Britain can do, the United States can do bigger and better from its giant base at Rota, only a few miles away. The symbol remains, but the substance has gone elsewhere. Now there are no British warships on station at Gib. Last weekend, one, the frigate Falmouth, did happen to be in harbour. But these days, the only Royal Navy vessels permanently here are a small flotilla of minesweepers in mothballs. If the Navy is in mothballs, the RAF is hardly in better shape. 224 Coastal Command Squadron is being disbanded, and only 2 of its Shackletons were left in Gibraltar. Last Monday, one of them took off. Soon there will be no RAF planes at all left on the base. Despite this sketchy capability, the Gibraltar base is estimated to be costing the British taxpayer about £15 million a year. 7 million of it in foreign exchange to Spain. 2,000 Spaniards work in the naval dockyard alone. So, is it worth it? Or to hard up Britain, is this too much to pay for a diminishing return? On a strict cost-effectiveness basis, the answer is probably yes. To a Britain in decline as a world power, Gibraltar is a luxury, not a necessity. To the Ministry of Defence computers, unmoved by historic associations, Gibraltar may be expendable. But what would happen to the 20,000 Gibraltarians if the base is scrapped and the rock handed over to Spain? What sort of people are the Gibraltarians? Their motto is, British we are, British we stay. And some unkind wit has added, as long as the British will pay. Gibraltar's income tax is 100 times less than the British, which allows Gibraltarians to have 1 car between 3 families and 1 television set between 2. Most Gibraltarians have never been to England, and their mother tongue is Spanish, not English. If you go down to the fish market, all the fish comes from Spain, incidentally, you'll not hear a word of English spoken, only Spanish. Gibraltar's food is very British, but with the Mediterranean all round, this boast seems ludicrous. And the visitor is left wondering if Gibraltar's patriotism is genuine, or is it rather too good to be true? What's your objection to being part of Spain?
Objection, because I'm a free man. We want to be free.
And you wouldn't be free if Gibraltar was part of Spain?
Sure, positive.
What would happen to you?
Oh, I don't know what's going to happen. They're going to do us worse than
Gibraltarians say that they are British and they want to stay British, but in point of fact, most of them have closer connections with Spain. They speak Spanish.
Well, we speak, doesn't make no difference. We speak English and Spanish, just the same. You approach a boy coming up from school from about 8 or 9 years old, they speak all English. What they teach them at school is English.
Do you want to stay British, or would you not care whether if you became Spanish?
No, never.
Under Spanish rule?
I prefer to go to the Congo better than becoming Spaniard.
Have you been to England yourself?
Yes, many times.
Do you speak Spanish at home or English as your first language?
Both.
One more than the other?
Spanish at home, yes, usually Spanish at home.
Do you think there's something strange in Gibraltarians being so pro-English when many of them have never been to England and a lot of them don't speak English very well? They speak Spanish, rather.
I don't see anything strange in it. I mean, because they enjoy the British way of living, the democratic way of living. They wouldn't like to go with Spain, where it's a dictatorship and where they wouldn't have the right of vote or human rights. I mean, that's why we are pro-British, and we've been born British and we want to stay British.
Is this not to their economic advantage that they reason this way?
Most certainly not. This is not a question of material gain or economics. It is a question of wishing to preserve the freedoms which we have been born.
And you think these would be removed if you became part of Spain?
Most certainly. Spain cannot guarantee us the freedoms which she denies to her own people.
There is this thing that strikes a visitor from England, that most Gibraltarians speak Spanish rather than English, and a lot of them have never been to England.
Yes.
And yet they all say that they're British and they want to stay British.
Yes.
Isn't there a sort of contradiction here?
No, of course not. It's natural that most of us should speak Spanish due to the proximity of Gibraltar to Spain. It is the native language. We speak Spanish at our homes, but our feelings are British. We've been brought in the British way of life, and that we cherish.
Is it not a matter of money, economic self-interest, which keeps you so closely tied to Britain?
No, of course not. We want to remain British regardless of the sacrifices.
What are the reasons that you want to remain British?
Well, we've had a British way of life. We cherish the...
What would be different if you suddenly became part of Spain? What would the changes be?
Spain is a dictatorial power. Franco is a dictator, and there is no say for the people in Spain.
And so a fascist country.
Do you think Gibraltarians would be prepared to pay income tax as part of the price of staying British?
The answer is very obvious and very clear. We would like to pay English income tax if that is the case. We'd be quite willing to do so.
Do you know what you're in for?
We know exactly what we're in for. We know exactly what we're in for.
Every sunset, the Union Jack is lowered in the street outside the residence of the British governor, and the traffic comes to a halt. The brief ceremony suggests continuity and security to the Gibraltarians, faced with Franco's latest turn of the screw due this coming Tuesday. Probably they have reason to feel confident for the moment at any rate, for no British government, let alone a Labour government, could possibly afford to hand over the Gibraltarians to the present government of Spain. But if General Franco has a more liberal successor, it could be another story.